all good, man.
There we
StreamYard is
go.
usually weird, man.
Yes, it is. All right. Thank you, everyone out there, for watching, and welcome to Friday Football Talk. I am Fidel Barraza, alongside with me, Jerry Martinez, and the newest member to the East West Football Network family, Brooke Young. And then also our guest tonight, the host of State of the Saints podcast, TJ Jones. How you doing, TJ?
Hey, how you doing? Hey, you gotta say when you say the host, you gotta say the host
The the
for the State of
host.
the Saints podcast. I start all my shows the same way, man. So I know
No.
people that follow the show, they probably gonna be like, "Why you ain't bow your head?" That's kind of my thing.
So
So
you got so
thanks for
you
having me.
so you bow the head. You say,
Yeah. I don't know,
"Oh,
and I don't know where the heck I started doing that. I don't know why, but now it's like every time somebody like calls in, they do the same thing. The host, and,
You get
So I even
I,
the
got my
host.
yeah, I even got my 1-year-old son doing it. Every time he hear me say that, he bows his head too. So
I
it's
will
becoming a thing.
I will say something, TJ. You need to trademark that because there's some people out there that will catch on what you're doing and they will try to mimic and copy what you do.
Yep. We definitely know what that feels like. So,
It
That's
feels
very true.
it feels
Well,
good. It feels good, but who's
yeah,
the host? You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
yeah.
Well, often imitated but never duplicated. So
Oh, I love it, TJ. I love
yeah,
it. Let's talk some Saints football, man.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, TJ. So again, thank you for joining us tonight. Saints have a huge matchup this weekend against
Huge.
the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, man, it's going to be an exciting game. Two of the best teams in the NFL. If you look over the past couple of years, the overall record in the regular season is virtually identical: 36 wins, 9 losses. These have been two successful franchises, man. The only difference is the Kansas City Chiefs have been to the Super Bowl. The Saints are still trying to get there. They had a little bit of bad luck in the playoffs, but should be a really good game, man. You have two mastermind offensive minds and head coach Andy Reid and Sean Payton, two guys who have been well respected in the league. You got two quarterbacks. You got Patrick Mahomes, and now you have a returning Drew Brees. You have two high-powered offenses under these two guys' watch. So it's going to be an exciting game. I think that both teams are going to have to bring their A game in order for them to get a victory.
Do you feel like the Saints are rushing Drew Brees back?
Yes, I do. I'm not one of those people that feel like Drew Brees is ready to play. I think this has a lot to do with the fact that on Huddle and Flow, the Huddle and Flow podcast with Steve Weiss and Jim Trotter, Sean Payton even alluded to the fact that this is Drew Brees' last season. And Drew Brees understands that a lot of people are saying that Patrick Mahomes is the future of the National Football League. If you notice, he is the guy. He is becoming the face of the National Football League. And I think Drew Brees understands this is his last opportunity to go head to head with the future of the NFL. And I don't think he wanted to pass up this opportunity. But anybody that thinks for 1 second that Drew Brees is 100%, I mean, they're sadly mistaken. But shouts out to Drew Brees for trying to give it the old college try. But I'm very concerned at the 41-year-old quarterback trying to come back. But I understand he is a competitor. And the offensive line going to have to be on their job to protect him, man, because he has a target on his back right now. I'm not going to lie about that.
Yeah, and then also it's important to note that no Michael Thomas is Sunday either, and he's pretty much been not in the offense in the lineup this pretty much this whole year, right?
Yeah, man. I think this is his 7th game he's going to miss. But the thing about Michael Thomas is, he's such a good and precise route runner. Him and Drew Brees have really good chemistry. I mean, this guy barely drops passes, and he's a guy that you can depend on. I mean, the entire time Drew Brees was out, Taysom Hill was looking his way, and I mean, he answered the bell. But the thing about it is, the Saints showed that they can actually be efficient even when he is out of the lineup. I mean, I would be a little bit more concerned if the Saints didn't have Emmanuel Sanders as a wide receiver. Emmanuel Sanders is an incredible receiver in his own right. He runs really good routes, and he bails quarterbacks out. I mean, there's a couple of passes that Taysom Hill threw. I don't know how in the world he caught it, but he's always there. So I think that the Saints have a lot of weapons. You have Alvin Kamara that can come out of the backfield. You got Jared Cook, the tight end. And also you have Traquan Smith that can probably give you a couple yards, and he goes out there and plays pretty tough as well. So I think the Saints have some weapons that can go out there and combat with the Kansas City Chiefs, go toe-to-toe. And it's just a matter of them doing their job, and I think that they'll be fine.
And my last question for you, really quick: do you believe the next starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints is on this roster?
Well, I'm a little bit on the fence with that. Sean Payton said that they're in the building, so I have no choice but to believe what he's saying. But I look at Taysom Hill. I look at him as the quarterback. I think that he has a lot of developing to do. I mean, looking at him in some of the preseason games that he played in when he first got to the Saints, and looking at him now, it's like night and day. He has improved, but he still has some issues that you see from young quarterbacks, holding on to the ball too long, reading to his progressions, taking it too long, looking and staring down receivers, and also turning over the football. I mean, he has turned over the ball, I think 5 times this season, and he's fumbled the ball 10. And we don't know what Jameis Winston is. Jameis Winston, we know that he threw 30 interceptions with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but that was under Bruce Arians' offense. And if you notice that Bruce Arians' offense, the quarterback always has a high number of interceptions. I mean, even Tom Brady right now, Tom Brady has a high number of interceptions. Carson Palmer back in the day when he was under his tutelage, he had a high number. Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, the list goes on and on. So I think that Jameis Winston in a Sean Payton system, I think that he can cut down on the interceptions, and I'm interested to see what type of quarterback he can be. I mean, he seemed like he's humbling himself. I mean, a first overall pick comes to a team on $1 million contract. He loses 30 pounds, and everybody respects him, man. Everybody respects him on the team, so it should be interesting going forward.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, no problem.
Shout out real quick
Awesome.
to
So something that you mentioned I find really interesting. You said that you feel that Patrick Mahomes is the future of the NFL. I couldn't agree with that more. On the more emotional side for Drew Brees, however, what do you think he emotionally is feeling, knowing he's coming upon his final season? Do you think he's pushing even harder for a chance to go against Patrick, in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl, even in this upcoming game Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even though these two teams, people are picking as Super Bowl contenders, I mean, it's not a guarantee that neither one of these teams are going to be in the Super Bowl. I mean, we've seen this before. I mean, I said it before on the State of the Saints podcast that the Kansas City Chiefs remind me a lot of the 1998 Minnesota Vikings. And if you remember that team, I mean, they had a lot of weapons. They had Randy Moss, they had Chris Carter, they had Jake Reed, they had Robert Smith, and they went 15-1. And they even had a field goal kicker who never missed a field goal. And I think he didn't miss a field goal in like 2 years. And they went up against the Atlanta Falcons team, and they lost that game in the NFC Championship. So it's not a guarantee. I mean, we've seen this before, and it's not a guarantee. So I feel like Drew Brees understands that, and this can be his last opportunity to go against that young quarterback. And make no mistake about it, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, all the skills he possessed, and I mean, he's 25 years old. He's been a league MVP. He's a Super Bowl MVP. Needless to say, that this guy has a very bright future. And I mean, he's exceeding expectations, no doubt about it. So Drew Brees understands that. And maybe if Drew Brees was going up against, I don't know, if, no disrespect, but Jeff Driscoll or something like that, I don't think he would have played in this game. But the fact that Patrick Mahomes is on the other side, I think it's one of those situations where he feels like, I got to play in this game. So
you got to have the pressure. Looking ahead at this Sunday game, what's the one thing you want to look out for that's going to be their downfall that might ultimately lose the game on either the offensive or the defensive side? What are you looking for?
Well, I think that the one thing that would cause the Saints to lose this game is being undisciplined. I mean, this has been one of the situations that has cost them losses, in the past. I mean, we've seen the Saints be competitive with some of the best teams in the league. And, the crazy thing about it is over the last couple of years, the Saints have went up against the team that represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I think about when they had a Week 8 matchup back in 2018 against the Los Angeles Rams, and they won that game, and that game was like back and forth. I mean, it was like down to the last second, and the Saints ended up winning that game. And then you go fast forward to 2019, they were going back and forth with a San Francisco 49ers team. I mean, both of those teams respectively went to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, the Saints are extremely competitive. The thing about it is the last seconds of the game, if they're down and Drew Brees comes into the game, give them a go-ahead touchdown, the defense takes the field and they just wet the bed. They allow the offense of the opposing team to drive the ball down the field for a late field goal or even in the end zone for a touchdown. So I'm looking for discipline in this game. I didn't see much discipline last week when they went up against the Philadelphia Eagles with Jalen Hurts. I feel like they underestimated those guys, and maybe they were looking forward to this game. And then maybe they just thought like the Eagles weren't on their level. So I'm looking for them to be a little bit more disciplined this week going up against the world champs, because if they're not disciplined, then they're going to get beat.
That's terrific. Thank you.
No problem.
TJ, man, I mean, like it's great, man. I think that a lot of these questions that Fidel and Brooke asked, I think they're kind of on point with what everybody wants to know. And man, for you to be under the pressure and be able to answer that, thank you so much, man.
Man, no problem, man. That's what I'm here. That's what I'm here for, man. Fire your way.
Fire away. I think, but if you look at it, man, I mean, like you said, the similarities are there between the Chiefs and the Saints. I mean, look at the coaching staff, right? You have two, like you said, two brilliant offensive minds, right?
Yeah.
But nobody really looks at the defensive coordinators. I mean, we got to give credit where credit is due. I mean, both of these defensive coordinators were head coaches at one point in their careers. Am I right? Or am I wrong? Dennis Allen and Steve Spagnuolo. And when you look at it, I mean, the similarities are very eerie. I mean, the only thing is Drew Brees is not the quarterback he used to be. But transitioning, right? Let's start looking. So what's the best case scenario for the Saints this season?
The best case scenario is the Super Bowl. I mean, make no mistake about it, Jerry. This is Super Bowl or bust. I mean, you got a 41-year-old quarterback that's on borrowed time right now, going into the twilights of his career. I mean, look, Drew Brees already signed a contract with NBC. Most likely he's going to be replacing Chris Collinsworth as the color commentator. So Drew Brees already is thinking about life outside of football. And the New Orleans Saints, shame on them if they don't have at least one Super Bowl appearance. I mean, you look at the New Orleans Saints team since about 2017. They already have been ranked. Back in 2017, they had the best draft class in NFL history. I mean, you think about this team, man. 2017 gave the New Orleans Saints Marshawn Lattimore, who is a multiple Pro Bowler. Ryan Ramczyk, who's an All-Pro and a Pro Bowler. Marcus Williams, who is a Pro Bowler. Alvin Kamara, who's a Pro Bowler. Trey Hendrickson, as of right now, who is leading the NFL in sacks, or right there, you know what I'm saying, number one or number two. You know, like, look, all of these players that are on this team that helped this team like be one of the best teams in the last 4 years, and they have absolutely nothing to show for it, man. It's almost like the guy that trains all year long for the Boston Marathon and doesn't place. I mean, that's just how it is. Like, they have to win the game. They got to go to the Super Bowl, man. This is their last chance, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of contracts they're not going to be able to pick up. A lot of these guys are not going to be Saints at the end of this season, and they have put themselves in a position to be there at the very end. So as a Saints fan, you know, even though I have a podcast and I try to, be as objective as I can, but as a fan, we're tired of the letdowns. We're tired of the disappointments. We're tired of watching a team go 13-3 every single year and getting bounced out, by weird situations. New Orleans Saints fan base, they would accept absolutely nothing but a Super Bowl appearance. Anything else, in the words of Charles Barkley in the 90s, would be uncivilized.
But let me ask you, do you think the Saints have the team right now in place to win a Super Bowl? I mean, 2020 has been crazy. Yes, it has been a hell of a year for all NFL teams, but do you think that they can put up enough points on the board, and do you think that defense can step up and make the stops that they need to if, let's say, they get into the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think they can. I think that the team collectively, I think they have what it takes. Me personally, I don't think this was the best team they had in this 4-year span. I feel like that 2018 season where they had the controversial 9 call in the NFC Championship, I feel like that was the best team that the Saints ever had, including the team that they went to the Super Bowl with in 2009. I mean, that team was hungry. That was a really good team, and I feel like they would. If they would have went to the Super Bowl, I think they would have beat the Patriots. But this season, I see a little bit more hunger in the eyes. I think that this team has been battle tested. I often say that they smell like smoke because they've been through fire, man. All of the disappointments over the years, man, some of these guys have felt that one way or another. So I think that they're focused. You can tell like from week to week, they're not looking past teams. You know, if they do, then it's very, very unconventional of them to do. And I just think that they really believe in this 24-hour rule. I think they really believe in the next man up mentality, because regardless to who was in the lineup this season, I mean, the Saints have had games where both cornerbacks have been out. Emmanuel Sanders missed 2 games with COVID-19. We already talked about Michael Thomas missing about 6 games. Drew Brees has been out, and yet this team sits at number 2 in NFC in playoff seeding. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, credit to the coaching. And credit to those players, man, for answering the bell. So I really feel like they have what it takes to make the Super Bowl.
You know, I will say this: whenever I see a Saints game, I mean, I'm like, oh man, here we go. I mean, they've been known as one of the NFC's powerhouse teams, in my opinion. So I wouldn't. I mean, I can't. It's hard to say. Oh yes, because I mean, my team around me can say, I've said Seattle was the favorite to maybe hit the Super Bowl. I even was even saying Green Bay, but I mean, we look at these teams and they've all had the same issues that that your beloved Saints have had. But let's go ahead and transition, because you said something very interesting, right? So I know that you had said about the cap space. So for a lot of people that don't know this, that draft class, a lot of that draft class is under contract, right? Or
Yeah.
I mean, they're under their 5th-year option this year.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so real quick, I mean, Marshawn Lattimore was the higher draft pick, right? And then Ryan Ramczyk was the second first round that year. They had
Yeah.
the two. How, just tell us what are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are the Saints' priorities this offseason, and what kind of team they're going to carry over going into the future?
Well, if I was the GM, if I can put on my armchair GM hat for a second, I would look no further than trying to sign Ryan Ramczyk. Look, anybody that you bring in, you're going to need somebody to protect him, and by them I mean quarterback. If Drew Brees retires, you bring in another quarterback, you're going to need somebody to protect him. The second person I would sign would be Marshawn Lattimore. Now, Marcus Williams is kind of up in the air. I mean, he's a really good safety. Saints fans can't seem to get past that 2017 Minneapolis Miracle. So any little small thing he does is like amplified and blown up. But he's a really good safety, man. And I feel like if the Saints don't bring him back, it's almost going to be one of those situations like with Malcolm Jenkins. Yeah. When the Saints didn't bring back Malcolm Jenkins and he went out to the Philadelphia Eagles for about 6 years, I mean, he became a better version of himself. And now we are on the receiving end of a better version of Malcolm Jenkins this season. But yeah, Marcus Williams is a really good safety. If the Saints don't sign him, somebody is going to get themselves a real steal. And Trey Hendrickson, man, I mean, I'm on the fence with that. I'm always kind of skeptical of a person that in a contract year they ball out, but you know, the first couple of years you're wondering where they are. You got to put an APB out for them. You got to put the binoculars on, you know what I'm saying, to see where they at. I'm kind of on the fence with that. Yeah, he giving you double-digit sacks, but I mean, I'm more of a person that feels like you got to do this consistently. So I think the Saints are going to make him, you know, going to let him walk. You got to keep Ryan Ramczyk and you got to keep Marshawn Lattimore. Those are the guys that I feel like can be cornerstone players for the foreseeable future. I mean, you need good cornerback play and you need a good offensive line play. And Ryan Ramczyk, to me, is the best right tackle in football. No doubt about that. So you got to pay him. And I wouldn't be mad if they made him the highest paid right tackle in football because he deserves it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people haven't seen it. The guy just literally just hands and pushes people down to the floor like if they're a little kid, right? So it's just insane how he plays. And last question, just to kind of end it up. So let's just say, you know, Drew Brees rides off into the sunset. It didn't go as planned. I mean, we've seen the Saints. They're ultra aggressive, especially during the draft. I mean, how many times did they move up and down this last draft, this last past year, right?
Right.
I mean, do you think, okay, let's put that what'd you say, the armchair GM cap on? I think that's cool, man. It's a good name. I'm gonna try to trademark that. I'm kidding.
Feel free, man. Feel free.
So let me ask you this. There's some quarterbacks out there, man. I mean, their names are getting tossed around like crazy. I mean, I'm talking about prospects. I'm talking about aside from Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. I mean, I mean, there's names out there like Trey Lance, right?
Right.
North Dakota State University. He
Mhm.
had a great season last year.
Right.
Then you got this up and comer Zach Wilson from BYU. I mean,
Right.
the kid is just. I mean, he's doing some things that only Patrick Mahomes can do, right?
Right.
And then Kyle Trask, right, from Florida. So
Right.
can you see, or do you think that the move that the Saints should be doing is keeping the two quarterbacks and drafting a quarterback this offseason?
Well, I look at the quarterback landscape, and I look at the need of the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints, what they do is they get the best player available. I mean, we seen this this past year when they drafted Cesar Ruiz. If you look at my draft, I did a live draft reaction, and you couldn't tell me that the Saints weren't going to get Jordan Love from Utah State. I mean, when I seen the Patriots move out of the first round and they was at the 20, I think they was at the 23rd spot or something like that, and the Saints were right there at 24. I'm rubbing my hands like I'm Birdman or something like that, you know, because I know for a fact that they're going to get it. I mean, I'm rubbing my hand. I was sweating like I'm about to be drafted. I'm like, yeah, we about to get him. And all of a sudden, they get Cesar Ruiz from Michigan, and I mean, I just lost it. But but he was the best player available, and you know, they end up like releasing Larry Warford, who was a guard for the New Orleans Saints last season. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So I feel like the New Orleans Saints will end up getting a quarterback. I feel like there's a lot of lip service going on with Sean Payton. Look, Sean Payton, if he's in love with a player, he's going to go after that player. I think that he looks at what happened in 2017. And I mean, we were on the receiving end of something that was positive at Marshawn Lattimore. But trust and believe that Sean Payton probably thinks from time to time that, you know, what would have happened if we would have moved up? Because you got to remember that Patrick Mahomes was drafted right before Marshawn Lattimore.
That's true.
And I mean, Sean Payton was really high on Patrick Mahomes. And the Kansas City Chiefs knew that, so they jumped in front of the Saints. The Saints probably most likely would have drafted Patrick Mahomes. So I don't think the Saints will want that to happen again. I honestly don't feel like there's really not a sure thing, for the exception to me, Trevor Lawrence. The rest of those guys are good, but there's still some developmental issues that they have to deal with. But I think that somebody like Trey Lance will probably be there by the time that you pick, or you probably can trade up kind of aggressively a couple spots. The quarterback out of BYU, man, I don't know, man. I mean, I watched him. Like I said, I stay out in Myrtle Beach. Coastal Carolina, where I stay, is probably like 10 minutes away. So I was able to watch that game when he played against Coastal. He didn't really wow me, man. And I feel like in games like that, that's when you're supposed to shine. Those are the money games. Those are the games where the scouts looking at and seeing, can you come through in the clutch? And, you know, only thing I see is a guy that's rocking a headband like he Jim McMahon back in the 80s. I mean,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. That it's totally fun. It's funny, man, because I see it. But I will say this: Clayton Holford, right? He's one of our. He's actually one of our draft analysts. He's on the fantasy show. He's probably one of the most well-known faces here on the East West Football Network. But anyways,
okay,
he's so big on Zach Wilson. And he was actually pointing out in Coastal Carolina. He said it was right before the end of the second half. Right. He made this insane throw, and he says if people don't understand body mechanics when it comes to a quarterback, then you go back to Coastal Carolina and see when he's rolling out. He said it was a play right before they didn't score. It was a play right before the second quarter. When he rolled out, he says that this guy has technique down to like the way you'd want to see in a quarterback, right? From the actual the torque of the hips to the release point. Says the guy has a lot of drive on that ball, and he's going to be very exciting to see in the NFL. That's what he said. That's Clayton's.
I mean, I get it, but you know, Jerry, I just feel like people just fall in love with the long ball. You know, like everybody people just love all these trick plays and stuff like that. Look, this isn't Circus Olay. This isn't Barnum and Bailey. You know, like, I mean, people just love those trick plays, the no looks, he threw the ball 60 yards down the field on his back foot. Like, that's exciting. You know, like, it's going to put some behinds in seats, and it'll make the top 10 on ESPN. but can you do it week in, week out? Can you read a defense? Can you understand what the defense is trying to do to neutralize you? Do you know who the open guy is? I mean, do you have those type of skills? I mean, we seen so many people have great arm talent. I mean, I think about Kyle Bowler back in the day, how this guy can propose to his girl by getting on his knee and throw the ball 70 yards. But tell me what Kyle Bowler did as a quarterback. Same thing with Jamarcus Russell. We seen these guys have these bullet arms, and if you have some of the older viewers of the show, Jeff Joyce, they say that he can throw the ball 60 yards. What did he do? I mean, it goes just beyond just having great arm talent and all these different skills. And you know, as much as I like Patrick Mahomes, I feel like he's responsible for this.
Yeah,
you know,
the bar kind of high.
Yeah. So it's like everybody is looking for that. Everybody's looking for the next Patrick Mahomes. Everybody's looking for that guy to wow them. I don't care about being wild. Can you win the game? When the money, can you execute? Can you execute on third down? Can you convert third downs? Can you lead your team to victory week in and week out? And I'm telling you, looking at that game against Coastal Carolina, yeah, there was some great arm talent. He threw some good passes, but they didn't win the game. Yeah. And those are the type of games that you need to win. Your team was undefeated. Coastal Carolina was undefeated. That was your moment to shine. And he didn't come through in the clutch. Now, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I just think that we put too much emphasis on these deep passes and all these tricks, man. Like I said, man, I mean, I love Circus Olay, but I mean, I don't need that in my quarterback.
Well said, man. I think that if anything that we learned, I think we just recently had the West Coast Cowboy on. I don't know. Have you been able to tune into his to him? He's a big time Cowboy follower, and he does similar work. Have you been able to tune into some of his stuff?
No. Actually, I haven't. You know, when you say cowboy, you kind of lost me. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he does. I'm pretty sure, but I am not. Look, I'm sorry. I'm not a Cowboy fan. I'm not a Cowboy fan, man.
No. Well, I understand, man. It's either you hate him or you love him. There's no in between. But I will say this: if anything, from what I took away from today's message and our chat, and from with the West Coast Cowboy, right, is you guys are not. You don't care about I mean, you guys want to win, and that's it. You don't care about the offseason. Like no. Let's worry about getting the win tomorrow, right? Or Sunday. And let's worry about taking each game at one step at a time. Obviously, 2020 has been one hell of a year. It's been, you know, some of the teams that we saw in the past not being where they're at right now. I mean, it's just crazy. But overall, I enjoyed the talk. Thank you for all the knowledge, TJ. Really appreciate it. I'm not ready to call myself a Saints fan, but I do pay attention to the Saints.
Man, I pay attention to every NFL team, man. You know, I got a lot of respect for the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, the Saints about to play them. I mean, I respect so many teams in the NFL. I heard you mention the Seattle Seahawks, man. Look, outside of Drew Brees, Russell Wilson is my favorite quarterback in the National Football League. You know, man, I watched the Washington football team. You know, I have an emotional investment. Alex Smith, I mean, how can you not root for a guy? Everything that he's been through, you know, even Rod Rivera, I mean, he's out there coaching, battling cancer. Those are guys to me, you know, saying some unsung heroes. So, I mean, I'm a fan of the NFL. I mean, I'm born and raised in New Orleans. So, I mean, I've always been a Saints fan. So, but at the end of the day, man, I love the NFL, man. I love the parody. I love the storylines. And, you know, hopefully my New Orleans Saints will be there in the very end, man. But I appreciate you all for having me on the show. I had fun, and hopefully I can come back again.
Hey, TJ, before I let you go, I do want to ask you one last question. Who imposes the biggest threat in the NFC to the Saints?
Poses the biggest threat to me, it would be the Los Angeles Rams. I don't think people are paying attention to that team, but I think a lot of people are looking at Green Bay. And this is something that really bothers me. Everybody's talking about Green Bay having the #1 seed, having home field advantage. But who's to say that the Rams can't go up there or the Seahawks can't go up there and beat the Green Bay Packers? I mean, even though they will have the #1 seed in the first round bye, people are just making it like it's like it's a foregone conclusion, like they're going to be an NFC championship game. There is no team in the NFC that that just stands out. Even the Saints. I feel like the Seattle Seahawks can beat the Saints. I feel like the Rams can beat the Saints. I feel like the Packers can beat the Saints, and vice versa. But to me, it would be the Rams. The Rams are a really good defense. You have Aaron Donald in the middle. You got Brockers, man. You got all of this different talent. You got Jalen Ramsey out there. Man, they got some good cornerback play. Jared Goff, as long as he limits those mistakes, I think he'll be fine. And you're talking about a true quarterback whisperer. That's Sean McVay to Jared Goff. I mean, these guys talk to each other to the last 15 seconds before they cut the mic. So he literally puts this guy in place to succeed. And not to mention they have a really good running game, man, with Cam Akers and crew. So that's the team that poses the biggest threat to me. And not to mention they don't even get mentioned when you start talking about teams. Everybody's talking about the Seahawks and DK Metcalf and how swole he look and how good he look with his shirt off. I mean, look, the guy's ripped, you know what I'm saying? He's shredded like cheese, but at the end of the day, it's about execution. And I think more people need to be paying attention to the Rams. That's who I'm paying attention to the most.
Well, hey, TJ, thank you so much for coming on the show. Also, before we let you go, where can our viewers follow you on social media?
Yeah, you can check me out, man, on Twitter at State of Saints. You can follow me on Instagram at TJJones_, and also on Facebook.com, search The State of the Saints Podcast. And finally, you go to YouTube.com, search The State of the Saints Podcast, and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
All right, TJ, thank you so much, and good luck to your Saints this weekend against the Chiefs.
All right, thank you so much. Y'all take care.
All right, and everyone out there, thank you for watching. Take care, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Stay safe.